Just had to pull something up. All right, let's talk. Let's talk. So, I see this question kind of floating around a lot, and this is something I wanted to get on the channel, something I kind of wanted to discuss on stream as well. So, um, again, a lot of people kind of always have the question of uh, which distribution service is best, right, to get your songs on all platforms. And you'll see a lot of recommendations. You'll see a real lot. Um, and we're going to talk about some of the bigger ones. We're going to talk about some pros and cons. We're going to talk about which fit is good for certain people, right? Because I think distribution services are going to be different for everybody. I don't think it's kind of like a one size fits all shoe. Many kind of established and veteran artists already know that, but for some of the new guys out there, I definitely think this will be something to talk about here. So, do it. Um, when it comes to distribution, right? I think the number one question you got to ask yourself is, what am I doing with music? Right? Because there's a lot of people that kind of just have music as a hobby. There's a lot of people that kind of take it seriously, but like don't really care about all stores or don't really care about promotion or things like that. Um, but let's just say, for the conversation's sake, that you're an artist that wants to get your music on all platforms. Um, where do you start? What's the best kind of distributor? What do I kind of want from this? So I think the big thing to kind of get out of the way here is they're all going to do the same thing, right? No matter where you go, whether it be DistroKid, SoundCloud, Amuse, United Masters, CD Baby. There's so many platforms that you could really go to, but what you're gonna find out is they're all gonna do the same thing. I just think it's kind of good to narrow down what you want out of a distribution service, right? Do you like only care about getting your music on all plats and just getting paid? Do you kind of really want more out of your journey on all stores, right? Some people care more about playlisting, some people care more about smaller features, some people care more about accessibility, some people care about customer support. So with all that said, you'll find that most people kind of gravitate towards DistroKid, right? Because DistroKid was on top for quite some time, especially in like 2017, 2018, like a lot of those early years, at least for me, early on in my career, um, DistroKid was like the number one. You know what I mean? And as they grew, and there became more and more of a demand for artists to kind of get their music everywhere, DistroKid kind of, what seemed on the outside looking in to be, getting overwhelmed. It almost seemed like a lot of their simple features were kind of lagging, and customer support wasn't all that great. Um, at the time of this recording in 2024, it's been good, but there's definitely been some like ups and downs when it comes to a lot of the bigger companies, right? Because I feel like they did get overwhelmed with like the surge of new artists that kind of pop up every single day, right? I think people even like look up their first song and immediately make a fucking DistroKid account, which I don't think is a bad thing, right? I just think that a lot of those stores, um they were kind of handling like a pretty large influx of users, if you will. So again, you'll see a lot of these kind of like weird negative perceptions about certain stores, but they all have their pros and they all have their cons, right? I think certain stores do certain things better. I think if you're a beginner, DistroKid is probably still like the easiest one to go through and understand, especially if like you're learning all this on your own and you don't have somebody to like teach you like right then and there. Because like it's one thing to get like a recommendation from like an internet friend, but it's gonna be perceived differently for everybody. Like some people just learn differently, especially when it comes down to shit like this. So if you're a person that's learning on your own, DistroKid might be like a really good easy play for you just because it's very simple and easy to understand. Um, SoundCloud for artists is kind of the more um a bang for your buck as far as unlimited uploads and certain smaller features that I think more established artists might want. But in exchange, I think one common trait of all these stores is the lack of customer service, right? I think customer support and customer service is such like a rarity for like a lot of these stores that I think man, like if you have a good setup and you have a like a really trusted store, I think that's going to be something that you really want to stay with. You know what I mean? So if you have a good thing right now and you've been thinking about like switching stores, and it's for like a small reason, I definitely wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have to, don't switch. But if you have to, then it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like some people just kind of move on from certain things. Like I have artists that kind of went from DistroKid to SoundCloud for Artists, and now they're gonna jump ship again. So it really depends on where you're at in your career and where you're at in music, right? And really like what you want out of a certain service. So I think um the ultimate thing here is to kind of really do your own research and look at Reddit, look at tweets, look at forums, look at comments, look at reviews, talk to your friends, and kind of make your own judgment based on that. Don't just listen to one person's like, oh, DistroKid fucked me over, blah blah blah, da da da. Because for every like 5 people that had a bad experience with DistroKid, there's going to be another 50 that had a really good experience and that have been using DistroKid since day one. That's just going to happen. So it's kind of the same for all of them. Like as many good comments as you can find just as many bad comments. And I don't think that should like be the deciding factor of like um a store is going to be good or not, right? So, you know, starting out, I would just kind of see what the process is like for one of your homies. You know what I mean? Like I tried to think like just now like what would I do if I was starting out, and I'd probably just have one of my homies walk me through the process of whatever they do. And then I just start there. And then you really learn how to like ultimately like start fully like distributing your music, and then you can kind of start understanding the smaller parts of the whole process and take each of those lessons and things you learned into new distributors and go to different areas and things like that. So that's the real big thing there is you kind of gotta like see it firsthand and kind of like make your own judgment. Like I wouldn't worry too much about like what Joe Schmo, has going on, because we don't really know their situation, right? Like you'll see people talking about, oh, my song got taken down and da 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 da, but then come to find out they use samples and this and that, and you know, um, there's going to be stores that are more useful in certain ways, and there's going to be stores that are like more, um, like harder to work with in certain ways, right? So, I think to cap up that whole idea of like which store is best or like what store should I choose if I'm a starting artist, I would do your research, right? And then talk to your friends. And if you don't have any friends, do your research even more, right? So again, browse Reddit, browse YouTube. Because like I said, there's going to be people that, hate on certain stores, and then there's going to be people that really, really had a good journey with certain stores. So I wouldn't say it's a one size fits all kind of conversation. So yeah, that's like the number one thing there is kind of doing your own research, and it's important. Like don't just take your first opinion and just kind of be like, oh, okay, like no problem, like I just won't use DistroKid or I just won't use this or that because Johnny had a fucking bad experience with it. Fuck that. Try it out for yourself first, or even just watch somebody do it, or if you have a friend that can kind of like walk you through the process, I think that's just as good too. You know what I mean? So either way, however you shape it, I think it's worth it to do your due diligence and kind of settle at a place where you can at least spend a year at and get like a good amount of music out at and figure out if it's a good fit for you. You know what I mean? So, um, that's that, my friends. And of course, if you have any questions about that, or you'd like me to kind of discuss distribution services further, definitely leave a comment, send us a tweet, all that good stuff. Let us know what kind of stores you guys like, what kind of distributors you guys use, and things like that. Because I'm sure there's plenty of tips out there that could help anybody with certain questions. But again, we'll be happy to talk about that stuff here on the show. Um, many times more for sure. So again, if you're not subbed, make sure you sub to the channel, drop a like on the video, and all that good jazz. Let's get it. All right, it is time